So after not making the playoffs this past season, the pressure will be put on the Dallas Mavericks, especially since they will now have a full season with both Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving. When you have two stars of their caliber, everyone is going to be looking at you to make something grand happen, so they really can't afford to choke under the bright lights. Now, am I personally saying they choked last season? Nah, not really, because I think there's an adjustment period where guys have to figure out the chemistry with one another, and Luka was dealing with a slight injury after they acquired Irving. I talked about it early on in the season that they lost a lot of games just by a couple points here and there, and if they would have focused up, then they could have been in such a better place. But hey, that's neither here nor there, as we're now focused on this upcoming 2024 season. During this offseason, there was a lot of rumors of Kyrie may be leaving the Mavs, and that Doncic was frustrated with the lack of talent around him, but it seems as if the Mavs are making the correct steps in the right direction by adding in some valuable pieces, which will make them a legitimate threat coming into next season. Right now, I want you to stop and tell me your prediction as to how well you think the Mavs will do this season, and let's see if your opinion is still the same or if it's even more validated by the end of this video. Alright, now listen. When people would just look at the box scores and see that the Mavs lost a game or just listen to the negative talk spread around, they were constantly disregarding a major thing about this team, and that's the fact that they have two of the best backcourt players in the whole entire league. I already know I'm about to hear it, and a lot of people were quick to say, well, Kyrie and Luka won't work because they both need the ball in their hands. Luka doesn't like to work off ball, and Kyrie is a locker room problem, and blah 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 blah. But when you actually sit down and tuned in for the games, you can see that the offense was far down on the totem pole of things they really needed to worry about. With just Luka alone, this offense was fluid and scoring wasn't much of a problem, so I don't know why people couldn't see that adding in Kyrie would only make the offense that much more deadly. In the 27 games after getting Kyrie, Irving played in 20 of these games, but overall the team shot 48% from the field, 38% from deep, and had an offensive rating of 117, which put them in the top 10 across the whole entire league. So yeah, the team stats offensively were nothing short of amazing since landing Irving. When you have a guy who can work off ball if needed, carve his lane to the basket at any time, and create a shot for himself whether it's in the mid-range or the outside, it really broadens your offense to a whole nother level. I mean, just think about it. When Brunson was on the Mavs, it took a lot of pressure off Luka to score as much, and if Doncic went to the bench, then Brunson had the capability of erupting on the offensive end to keep the team alive rather than them sinking. So when you look over and see you have Kyrie, not to put Brunson down at all, but Irving is a far more dangerous weapon offensively, so if you want to stagger his and Luka's minutes, then you really have no worries when doing so. Averaging 27 points on shooting splits of 51% from the field and 39% from deep, Kyrie was putting on a masterclass performance on a nightly basis, which was a big proponent to why this team was successful on the offensive end. Not only was his level of play helping the team out as a whole, but it benefited Doncic as well. Since the day of trading for Irving, Luka put up 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 7 assists, while maintaining shooting splits of 48% from the field and 33% from deep. This team automatically turned into a scoring nightmare for opposing defenses, as you never really knew which one was going to light you up on any given night, and boy oh boy, don't let both of them get hot, because then there was really nothing you could do. When they would have both stars of Kyrie and Luka out there at the same time, the Mavs had an offensive rating of 119, which put them in the top 5 during this stint, were ranked number 5 in fewest turnovers committed at 12.1, and then they were tied for number 1 in 3-point percentage at 39.2%. The synergy alone between these two will be great after some time of building up the chemistry, and when you have a 1-2 punch like them, there's just so much to look forward to. When we talk about Kyrie, we all know that he is probably the most skilled offensive player we have ever laid eyes on, and I don't care what people say. I don't think he's really a locker room cancer that much. I think he just wants to win, and he's a major competitor. Now for the talks of people saying that they have to both have the ball in their hands, I think that's truly false. Unlike most people would think or even notice, Kyrie can work off ball very well, and when you pair that next to a passer like Luka, it helps the team out greatly. When Doncic conducts this offense, he's great at making the defense collapse or shift towards him, so when you have a guy like Kyrie sitting out there on that wing waiting for the kick out, he can effectively put the ball on the deck to go get a bucket. I mean, just think about it. First, you have a guy like Luka who is dismantling the defense with ease, just having his way with them, so he's going to command a lot of attention. This will then open up Kyrie on the floor, so now if they're exhausted from dealing with Luka and the ball gets swung to Irving, they have a whole nother problem to deal with. So do you kinda see what makes this offense pretty fluid and possibly unstoppable? If not, then maybe when you remember that they have guys like Seth Curry, Jaden Hardy, and Josh Green, it'll make you rethink just a little bit. As you can see, all these guys shot it at a 40% clip from beyond the arc this past season. Now I know the 3-point attempts aren't super high from each of them, but when you combine it all together and factor in that hopefully with better team chemistry they will get more touches, it shows just how deadly they can make this offense with their deep range shooting ability. Jason Kidd will have to make sure he sets up his lineups to the best of his ability, because flexing these guys within the offense will space the floor out completely, and this will significantly lead to more driving lanes for Luka and Kyrie, which overall helps this team out even more. Now me personally, I don't really care what anyone says. Josh Green is super valuable when it comes to the defensive side, and no, it's not because he's some all-NBA defensive guy or anything. It's just the fact that he has solid defense in general while not having a problem picking up players full court to slow down the pace, and when you add that in with his will to work hard and his 6'10 wingspan, it shows he has a ton of potential on this side of the ball. Furthermore, his value transcends past just defense, as he is a pretty good glue guy on the offensive end as well, and since every year he has improved his game, I don't see him coming into next season without making another leap. I pretty much have the same views towards Jaden Hardy, and if not, I may be a little higher on him. Sure, he can lack IQ in those pick and rolls and just decision making at times, and his offensive versatility is limited at the moment, but he's a young guy who is surrounded by two amazing guards with a very high work ethic, so how could you not see the potential in him? Honestly, Jaden could get his own video because there's so much that I see in his game, so let me know if you want to actually see that. Both these guys in Jaden and Josh can step right in and add a good amount of value next to Luka and Kyrie, but don't get me wrong. I'm not saying these two are some super special talents just yet, but I have some vision and I think they could surprise some people as long as they stay focused. Now there are some guys that immediately change things over there in Dallas, and that is Grant Williams and Derek Lively. Lively isn't going to get out to that 3-point like a modern day big, but trust and believe he will be in that paint ready to cause havoc. If you've been over here at Hoop Mastery for a little while, you should know I really don't like judging incoming players out of college until they fully had some time in the NBA, but with his athletic 7'1" frame paired with Luka's ability to operate on that pick and roll effectively, some bright things can actually come out of it. Not only does he have the potential to be a lob threat, but at Duke, he sent 2 shots back a game and he made the ACC all-defensive team, and this is huge for the Mavs because they desperately need an inside presence that can bother guys when they drive to the basket. Now will he be that guy? I mean, only time will tell, because the speed of the game in the NBA is totally different from college, so we'll have to wait and see if it translates over. But for someone we've already seen in the NBA and can be a bruiser type of player, that is Grant Williams. Williams will come in and set the tone from an aggression standpoint, and if needed, he can dip out to either corner and make it rain. Some of you are probably like, we're not worried about Grant, he really doesn't move the needle, or whatever you want to say. But as you can see, he shot very efficient from both sides, with the right corner being slightly more effective, but regardless, he will provide floor spacing and a solid defensive presence to help this team on this end of the floor. There's some other pickups that the Mavs got during this offseason, but I truly want to discuss that with you guys in the comments. I know people are going to have a lot to say about Kyrie Irving and how no one can succeed with him, but I totally think different, so that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother time. Leading this team, Luka has proven to be a very solid playoff performer, and no one can take away the credibility of Kyrie Irving when it comes to his postseason play either, so if they can tidy things up and figure out a solid rotation, this team can be very good. Now will they be competing for a championship or be super scary? I'm not really sure about all that, but with guys like Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving, the sky is truly the limit. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to drop a like before heading over to watch this Cade Cunningham analysis. I thank you all for your support, and I'll see you in the next video.